Welcome to Ladies Talk Show. This is your host, Leah Richheimer. Thank you for all the great questions. info@ladiestalkshow.com. We have so many right now. I'm going to try and go as we can. Okay, go ahead. Gila, what you got for me to start?
Okay, Yocheved's asking, I've been listening to your show and working on things, and I do feel like I'm doing well. Then I have the
Good
time
on you.
and I feel like I can't cope, and I'm moody and snappy. It's like one step forward, three steps backwards. It really demotivates me.
Okay, I have a reinterpretation for you. Instead of one step forward, three step backwards, let's call this three steps forward, one step back. Okay, that we're going to reinterpret and reshift or whatever, because I'm sure that's the case. If you're working on this, Hashem is helping you. Okay, now here's the thing. Women have these like woo woo, roller coaster. Men are like hello, but for the most part, and for the women, for the most part, are like this instead of woo. Okay, so women are up and down and up and down. We can wake up in the morning and be all bright and bubbly, and one thing happens, we don't even realize it. Maybe subconsciously, someone, we we see a picture of ourselves and we're like, that's not what I look like. I'm 10 pounds skinnier than that, whatever. And then the rest of the day we're like, so excuse me, we're very hormonal, very up, very down. That's just the way women are. And men get upset at them. And we have a joke in our family, actually, like when any one of the females in our family is doing something, like changing her mind back and forth and not being indecisive, doing anything sort of what would be characterized from a woman's perspective. Let me just think of something else before I get myself in trouble. And people say women are decisive, and what do you? But anyway, if woman is doing something womanly, like, oh, I can't do that, it's too icky, let's say, okay, because everyone might be able to agree on that. Then a man who's in the room will say the joke is, aren't you glad you say that bracha in the morning? Thank God for not making me a woman. Like we have to be us. We still have to like wake up and be us. And if you can embrace your up and down. And by the way, if those are listening, I'm like going up with my finger and down with my finger, like a roller coaster. Woo, 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 like that. Okay, so if that is embraced by a woman and she knows that's just how she is, it takes the sting out of it. There's this whole global movement that a woman shouldn't be a woman. She should be more manly. She should, and that's like in the 70s, women were wearing suits and ties, pantsuits. It's kind of like the femininity got thrown out the window because it was not a way to accomplish and a way to succeed in business, etc., or whatever. I'm not an expert in that whole area. All I know is that there's a lot of confusion around this area. A woman embracing her femininity and her femininity, a woman who's doing that is owning that part of herself that is maybe has weaknesses or has fragility or has softness or has confusion or has hormonal swings, wild swings. They're fine, sweetie pie. They're fine. That's who we are. If you can make light of it, it's less annoying to men. Men have to deal with us. Our husbands have to deal with us. And if you just say, oh, well, I'm sorry, woman's prerogative, I changed my mind. Sorry. I know that caused you hassle, and, like, okay. So to answer your question is, there's different states that a person can be in, and sometimes we have a choice over that, and sometimes we don't have a choice of that. You could wake up in a bad mood and you just can't get out of it. Everybody has to know what works for them the best. Like, does listening to music help them out of their bad mood? Does going for a walk help them out of the mood? Does calling this friend who always makes jokes help them out of their mood? You have to have in your back pocket. It's your obligation as a woman who is at effect of her moods and her emotions 24/7. It's your obligation to have backdoor, strategies to help you. Sometimes women like to wallow in there, like life is rotten, and this one has this and that one has that, and I have nothing. And okay, that's part of life also. That's part of the ups and downs and whatever. But you have to have bulletproof things that that help you get out of a mood, and you have to acknowledge and not beat yourself up for being a moody being, because that's how God made us. I don't know why. Ask Hashem. I have no idea, but it's just the way it is. So don't beat yourself up about it. Okay, did that answer a question, Gila? Was there more part to her question?
No, I feel like that she was just feeling bad that she gets moody, but you explained that that's how Hashem created us and to be aware of
Oh,
it.
yeah. Okay, good. Okay,
Okay.
what else?
Zipporah's asking, I know it's most important to be on the same page as my husband in terms of chinuch, but sometimes my husband is very critical with our kids on the Shabbos table, and it's very hard for me not to swoop in and use a softer approach, especially when I don't agree with the way he is dealing with it. I often do not feel on the same page. When we speak privately about it, he says he understands, but the kid's escalation really triggers him. I don't know how to go about this.
I can tell you one sentence. Stay out of it. Stay out of it. You made your feelings known. You made your opinions about it, and your actions probably have been, swooping in to say the sweet thing or whatever. Stay out of it. Your husband needs to have his own relationship with the children. If he's harsher, if he's more stern, if he gets triggered, if he overreacts, in your opinion, for some reason, you have to put in your mind, for some reason, that is the way it's meant to be by Shemayim. So I think I've told the story before, but it's very, very powerful, which is I had a woman who her husband came, the kids came down, and the husband said they're sitting at the table, and the kid reached over with a fork and stole a potato and eating the potato from the kid, right? He shouldn't do that, okay? It's not the end of the world, but he shouldn't eat food off steal his sibling's potato. The father turned to him screaming, "Go to your room without supper." So the punishment for sure did not fit the crime. The mother swooped in and says, put her hand up, like, stop. Put her hand up like her husband was a child, put her hand up and said, "It's okay. He didn't mean, the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Billy, you can stay at the table. It's okay. Just don't do that again, okay? And say you're sorry. Okay, you said you're sorry. Great." So what did that woman accomplish? Was she right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe she was right. Maybe the father was over, the punishment didn't fit the crime, and he was overreacting, and maybe he had a bad day at work and he's taking it out on the kids. Who knows? But what did she accomplish in that interaction? She accomplished taking a daddy away from his children, meaning now the kids do not respect their father. They think that mommy's in charge, and mommy's the one with makes the ultimate decisions. So she completely threw her husband under the bus. Okay. And worse, ladies with young children, pay very close attention to what I'm about to tell you. She just took away the single most important authority figure she is going to need when her kids become teenagers, and she's tossed him out the window. Meaning, his harshness, which is, probably more harsh than a man, okay, than a woman, his harshness is perhaps what is needed to keep the boundaries so that the child, when they are a teenager and they lose their brain, by the way, for you who don't have teenagers yet, your kid will lose their brain. Okay. They will not be them anymore for a little while. For those of you who have teenagers are like, it's true. It's true. Oh my God. Just stay tuned. At 22 years old, they come back. Okay. So no worries. You will have a hard time with them, please God. But at 22, they'll be like, "Ma, how do you make some shortcake? How do you do this? How do you make rice?" Okay. So don't worry. Please God, Hashem should bench all of us with that thing. But for some reason, they need to differentiate their personality. I don't know all these psychological rationale of why they need to go through that. But if they go through that with a very, very strong, harsh, if I say, I don't advocate screaming and punishment and abuse and what, I'm not saying that. I'm saying strong. Let's call it strong. They need a strong father during those teenage years. And if you've thrown him under the bus for 10 years at the table about the stupid taking the potato from the kid, he's going to have no power. And you and your children are going to suffer immeasurably for your corrective behavior at the table or anywhere in the home. So there was a whole wave, and I had a Rav who said, he said, when you're at the playground, you can always tell who the psychologists are or the people who've read the psychologists. I'm not, I'm pro psychologist. I think they can do an incredible amount of good. But if you read all of the books, they're all that the feminine way of raising children is correct. So he said, the Rav said, this is a Gadol who expressed this. He said, you'll be sitting at the park, and one kid will come and bonk another kid on the head. And what will his mother, who read the psychology books, do? She'll go over to him and she'll hold both hands and she'll get on her hands and knees and say, "What's the matter, Billy? What emotion are you feeling right now?" When the kid, yeah, boom, yeah, no, whatever. We don't believe in corporate. Well, maybe we do. I don't know. I'm not voting on that because I don't know. It's above my pay grade. But I'm just saying the whole Western world has taken on that a woman's way is the correct way, and all the articles and every parenting thing that has trickled down from those feminist authors about how to raise children. And again, I'm not saying anything bad about feminists. They've accomplished great things in our world, probably. I don't know. I'm not an expert on it. I'm not speaking on that. I'm just saying that a lot of those books, which are still being read and studied in universities around the world, talk about how the soft approach and the whatever. I'm not sure, because if Hashem had wanted that, he would have given two soft beings to raise that kid. He didn't. He gave a softer one and he gave a harsher one, and maybe a less just one, or taking it out on him. Or he said, he was triggered. So the Hashem could have given him two soft parents. He didn't. He gave a soft parent and a harsher parent. And I have to believe that or we have to, I mean, I guess it's just a fact. Like, open your eyes. This is what God gave, right? So he must need that harshness. And you're shooting yourself in the foot if you go against everything your husband says. And even though sometimes you're so sure you are right, but in that case of that woman who the story I just told you, where she put her hand up to her husband and said, "No, it's fine." She told me that story. She came to see me about her problems with her teenage kid and her relationship with her husband, because the house was a mess. And she traced it, when I was telling her all kinds of things, she traced it back to that incident, and many, many like that in their thing, that she always undermined her husband, always threw him under the bus, and she was living in a complete disaster zone. So take heed. Be able to express yourself. And again, you pulled him aside and talked to him afterwards and whatever. You did your bit. You did what you could do. If he is the way he is, leave it alone. Let it go the way it goes. If there's abuse, if you start to see it cross into a line, speak to him again. Go seek help if it really gets abusive. But for the most part, let him be the daddy. Okay.
Wait, Leah, I have a small question on that question. What if, like, you're so involved and you're taking parenting classes, and in a roundabout way, not to manipulate your husband, but like you say, like, "Hey, I love what I'm learning in my parenting classes. When can we go over the notes together and see how we feel about it?" Is that like still trying to like manipulate?
I think that's okay if it's done in the way you just said, and soft and mushy and cute, and I
Yeah, and
wouldn't
it
say,
has nice,
when
not
can
coming
we?
off the back.
Right. I wouldn't say, when can we? I said, would you like to? I'd be interested in your take on her thinking, because it depends on who the teacher is. If the teacher is saying that, the woman, the teacher might have read those books, and she might think the softer way, everything should be done so soft. Kids today can't take the harshness, and it strengthens them up. It strengthens their character for some reason. I don't know. I'm not an expert in that particular thing, but my take on it would be that Hashem did give us a harsh and a soft. And if you're taking a course and the course just talks about the soft, I question whether it's one thing we know from Rav Wasserman is that Rav Simcha Wasserman, could have been Elchanan, his son Elchanan Wasserman. I think it was Rav Simcha Wasserman, the Gadol, from last generation. He said that 90%, I hope I'm quoting it right, I'm so bad at this, but 90% of chinuch habanim, raising children, is shalom bayis. So even if your husband does the exact wrong thing, 100% wrong, like you take 1,000 child rearing experts and they'd all say he is wrong, okay? But as long as you agreed with him and there was shalom in the home at that point, and you're just like, yeah, okay, daddy, you got to listen to your daddy or whatever, but you supported him and there was shalom, the kid is going to be fine. He can withstand almost anything if there's that shalom. So work on your shalom bias. Let that take care of itself. Very, very good topic. I'm glad you brought it up. Okay. What's the next question?
Okay, next question is, Ellie is asking, I don't understand the balance between respecting my husband and not allowing him to do domestic work and me getting the practical help I need from him. Outside help is not an option. Is it so terrible if he does the hoovering? I guess this is someone from not America.
Okay.
Hoovering or
So
bath
she means
time.
hovering. She means hovering or
No,
something?
hoovering, like a vacuum.
Oh, oh, the vacuuming. Oh, that's so
Yeah,
cute.
I also thought it was hovering at first, and then I realized it was hoovering, like the Hoover,
Okay.
the Hoover
Okay.
vacuum.
Okay, fine. This is a commercial. Hoover, send us money. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so basically, outside help is not an option. Is it so terrible if he does the hoovering slash vacuuming or bath times? Does that mean I'm not a good wife?
Absolutely does not mean that in a million years. I'm not quite sure where you equated respecting with chores. Okay. Respecting is a whole lot more than just this chores. It's like respecting greeting when he comes home, not interrupting him, not putting him down for the others, not correcting him when he says something. Not, there's a million things that show respect. Actually, in Marriage Secrets, I talk there's a whole chapter on how to respect, like a list of 100 things you can do to show respect. Don't sit in his seat. Don't let anyone else sit in his seat. Serve him first at the table. All kinds of things that you can do, and the more you do, the more he'll cherish you. That's just the equation. You respect him more, he'll cherish you more, and that turns out to be the deepest need of both men and women. Men respect, women cherish. So I've totally forgotten the question. The question was
The question was, is it disrespecting her husband if
oh,
he's
to make
helping
him
around the
Hoover. Oh
house?
yeah, how could I
Yeah.
forget Hoover? Okay, yeah. So the issue of having him do quote unquote women's work, because we know that's what they did in Mitzrayim. The men were made to do women's work, and the women were made to do men's heavy lifting and men's work, and that was considered torture to them. So in our day and age, things have shifted so radically because women are going into the workplace and men are, helping change the diapers, which they never did even 20, 30, 40 years ago. I don't know when the shift is, but I mean, I guess if somebody had 10 kids, maybe 100 years ago, they were helping with the diapers. I don't know. I don't know how this worked. But the point is that the division of labor, every couple, every married couple needs to have a bulletproof plan on how the chores are divvied up, whether it's outside help that does it, if it's not outside help, how are they going to do it? If she's full-time home, home full-time, not working, nothing outside the home, and she's just taking care of the kids, then the bulk of everything is on her shoulders. If she works full-time and he works full-time, most of it's still on her shoulders. That's just, they did a study in I believe it was in Denmark, so Norway, somewhere. They did it Dutch. I don't know. Okay, I don't remember. But anyway, they did a study and they said the more equal the workload was, the closer it got to equal, the double the divorce rate, meaning the more equal the work in the home. I don't know why that is. It doesn't make sense because it's just what they're doing with their hands. But I guess if it turns out that you get it equal, where you're both doing the same amount of work, you have a much higher divorce rate. And that just means women are doing more. Okay, fine. Many women don't mind doing more. They just don't want to do every last thing. And when things get, Yantif comes around or some stuff happens, they feel like they need the help they can. And there's a story of a big Rav who came. And, a man went to a Rav and he says, it's Shabbos afternoon and I have some learning I want to do. And my wife is asking me to sweep and, should I be doing it? Should I, it just doesn't seem like a Talmud Chacham should, be doing something so menial as sweeping. And the Rav listened to him and just nodded his head and, okay, I'll think about it. day was Erev Shabbos, and there's a knock on the door at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It is the Rav, and he's got a dustpan and he's got a broom, and he swept the apartment. So the take home message was, you help out. You help out. So it's completely fine to have your husband hover and hoover. And no, hovering might be annoying, but anyway, you can certainly hoover. That's not annoying. And I don't think that's a problem. But you just do need to work it out. You can't bark orders. I see so many times a while. Get the diaper bag. Go. One in the bottom. You can't. He's not your slave, and that is totally disrespectful. So if you treat it like a favor, you're going to go much farther. He's going to feel like $1,000,000. He'll be like, "Oh, do you mind? Can you grab me the diaper bag?" And here's the thing: you're asking him, "Can you drive?" But the way you're asking him means, because it's such a favor to me, and because I'd appreciate it so much, and because I love you, and whatever. It's not saying, "Hand me the diaper bag." By all rights, should he hand you the diaper bags? You got one kid in this arm, you got another on your lap, you got, whatever, a bottle, this one needs a new diaper and whatever. Is it perfectly appropriate for him to do it? Obviously, he should do it. He must do it. He's obligated to do it. He needs to help you. But if you ask him, hand me the diaper bag, rather than, oh, do you mind handing me the diaper bag? Listen, if your husband would ask you something and say, grab me a glass of water, you'd be like, you'd hand it to him, right? But if you say, oh, do you mind getting me a glass of water? How gewaldig. You'd be like, of course, dear, of course. So it's how you treat him in him helping you that makes all the difference in the world. If you take it on that 100% of the household chores are your responsibility and you thank him for everything else, yes, that doesn't feel so great. But guess what, ladies? It's a secret sauce. It's the secret key to getting more done in the household, is if you feel it happens to be the MS. But anyways, forget the spiritual nature of it. I'm just telling you, in terms of a practical thing, if you ask him sweetly and act like he's doing you a favor, he'll do 10 times more in the household. Good luck with it. Report back. info@ladiestalkshow.com. I want to hear your answers, whether you witness that with your eyes. Sometimes we have bracha in our home, which is guaranteed will bring bracha in your home. Sometimes we haven't. We don't see it, or we don't notice it. Like it happened, it's right in front of our eyes, but we're like so busy and frenzied and whatever, we don't notice. Take the time to notice. Actually, that's your homework. Do I have time for another question?
You have time for one more question.
Okay, fine. But I'm going to give the homework. I'll give the homework after, but I'll forget. So remind me exactly what it is. It's to do what I just said, what I was just about to say. Do you know what I was just about to say?
No, I didn't read your mind yet, Leah.
Okay, I'm a figment of my own
I need a
imagination.
few more years to work with you, then I could.
Right. No, what I was going to say, the homework is, and I'll repeat it at the end because I know people. Is that to ask nicely on to act like a favor that is done to you is done. I mean, to do something that you think he should do, ask it like he's doing a favor to you, and watch the shift. That's the homework. Okay, sorry. Go ahead with the last
Beautiful.
question.
Okay, so Tova's question is, after going to a tech awareness shiur, I put filters on my phone as well as the family computer. I asked my husband to put a filter on his phone too. In our community, it's bad enough that he has an iPhone, but he says he needs it for work. It makes me uncomfortable that he has no filters. What else can I do?
Oh, that's a question for a bruv. That's a toughie. Ay. Why did he go to the conference with you? That would have been the best. If someone else is imposing that kind of stuff, is much better than the wife imposing it. Do they have a video of that conference? See if you can get like a tape or whatever, and then how do you convince him to watch it? Let's see. Whatever his favorite meal is, tell him you're going to make it. Even that thing to make halapsis, I don't know. Some people make them, and it takes for other people to whip them together. But something that's really hard to make, maybe make a deal with them and say, I'll make you what's that dessert that you need a flame torch for?
Creme brulee or
Yeah. A tiramisu. Is that the same thing as
no, tiramisu is different. Creme brulee, no?
Yeah, okay, creme brulee.
Or
I don't know.
flan.
Yeah, something like that. That's like apache. Like, are you kidding? I'm going to really do that to make it look caramelized. Hello. Anyway, I will make that for you if you watch this video. Anyway, you got to use your imagination, ladies. Get creative. So, but it is the question you're saying is it's better if it comes from someone else than comes from you. And if you can't figure out a way, and the only way you feel like you're going to make a difference is if you have a conversation with them, then the conversation needs to be as sweet and yummy as possible. And you need to say something like, set aside time, again, well fed, well rested, well, both of you, and a good time where you can actually put your phones away, and say, and then just say something like, plan it well so that you're not putting them on the defensive or making them feel badly, and say something like, I'm really not sure what to do because um, I saw this and I went to this conference about tech and I put all these filters, and maybe it was stupid of me, or maybe it was stupid of the people who threw the conference. They said, must be husband and wife together or something, because, this just made this cuckoo imbalance in us or whatever. I don't know. I didn't mean to say lashon hara about anybody, whatever. It's really good that you went, but it would have been better if your husband went too. But anyway, so if you say, I went to this thing, I've got this stuff in my head, I really want to protect our family. And in fact, they talked about how a woman is the sieve in the house. I don't know if they talked about this, but it happens to be true. The woman is the sieve in that sieve, what is that? Sieve, sieve,
Yeah.
colander, like you put the water in and the spaghetti, the water goes out and the spaghetti stays in the sieve. So that's the role of the woman in the household, one of the roles of the woman in the household. So, I feel like personally responsible. And on top of that, when they talked about how much, like, how the what's that called? The pitfalls, how many pitfalls from having these things unfiltered there are, it gave me nightmares. Like, I'm totally frightened. Like before, I'm like, oh yeah, well, you'll be careful. Okay, good, But now they said, oh, that they try and trap men by this. The guy who from Las Vegas, they hired this top guy from Las Vegas to fly to the .com in San Francisco or something like this. I'm hearing hearsay of whatever, but I think I'm getting the story accurately. And they hired him to figure out how to make people like the slot machines in Las Vegas or whatever. Apparently, and maybe you don't know them. I hope you should never know them, but whatever. But I mean, if you've ever seen, they go like this, and then you get things, bing, 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 and whatever, and they roll, whatever. So the slot machine guys are geniuses, and what they do is they work it out. You can tell this all to your husband, by the way. They work it all out so that the first time you lose, then you win $10, then you put $20 in, then you win $50. Now you are stuck at that thing because trying to win 50 again and 50 again, whatever, you end up losing $200 in that machine, but you've played for an hour and they exactly time it so to maximize the amount you are sitting in front of the machine, because the more you're sitting in the machine, the odds are always in the house's favor. So they hired that guy who was the top guy in all of Las Vegas. They plucked him in and they said, work on social media. We need you we need you to addict people to their phones. And the guy said, oh, okay, and he went to set it work. Then he did it, and he addicted the planet Earth to these things. Not just him, but everybody. And there's a whole thing. And now he goes around from high school to high school to high school, explaining what he did and how he did it. He's doing tshuva. He's sick about what he did, that he addicted the world, the productivity and the teenage suicide and the all the things, that the bad side, the ugly side of what this has caused. And he goes from high school to high school teaching high school students how bad he feels and what he did and how he tried to manipulate their mind, trying to stave off people being addicted. And he said, listen, I have to tell you, I'm not very successful. My work I did is so powerful that anything I say now they don't care about. But maybe there's one kid in the audience who hears and slows down or stops. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing that for, he didn't say tshuva because he wasn't, I don't think he's not Jewish, I don't think. He said, I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to repair the damage that I created in the world. And I know I never will be able to, but at least that's my effort. I'm trying. Why am I sharing all this? I'm making you stronger, more upset at your husband. But I'm just saying, if you explain that to him and you say, after this conference, I became much more paranoid about the whole thing. Would you be open to a conversation, either with watching one of the videos or talking to somebody who was there, or whatever, or would you just for me, be willing to at least put on the most minimal filter, and something like that, some kind of a conversation like that? it may need to be a conversation with his Rav or Rebbitzin or somebody he trusts. If you go behind his back and say to the Rav, "Oh, my husband, has an iPhone and I have filters on everything else," you're ratting him out and tattling on him, and he's going to be very upset with you. It's going to feel like a betrayal, disloyalty. So you have to play your cards very, very carefully here. I would probably start with talking to your husband about it and then move on from there to figuring out what else you can do if you just feel like you're up against a wall. And bottom line, rather than making a machloikus in the marriage and having a argument in the marriage or a separation or a lack of shalom bias over this issue, if he's absolutely staunch and that's where he's holding, let it go. You need to do a bit of hishtadlus to try and fix it up, but if you can't, let it go. And then just pray to Hashem, you're letting it go will hopefully, because you're not again trying to control them and tell them what to do, that will hopefully ease with tefillas, with a lot of davening, help him to soften his heart about this area. Okay, sorry I went on a little bit, but this is such a crucial issue, and Hashem should give you koyach for it and seichel to think of the right things, koyach, strength for it, and seichel to think of the right things to say, and a soft heart so that he can hear your soft heart. Okay, it's Leah Richheimer. Now I am going to give that homework. What was the homework again?
Zara on the homework was to take something that you need that you feel like he should be doing anyways, but make it sound like he's doing you this massive favor.
Right. Fantastic. Okay, good. One time this week, ask your husband to do something with as kind a manner as you can, as if he's doing you a favor rather than that he should do it. You'll do it once and then you'll be hooked on doing it because it's so effective, both for that individual thing and also globally for the relationship. Watch and see. Okay, it's Leah Richheimer. We'll see you next time.